So we're ready to call our next state's witness, prosecutor.
Thank you, Judge. The state calls Allison Lane.
Okay, thank you. I believe it's February already.
Yep.
Groundhog Day. Anyone know?
No, it's on January.
Did you see his shadow?
Yes.
What's that mean again?
6 weeks.
More winter.
It'll be 6 weeks either way.
Can you just put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, once you're seated and comfortable, can you state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Allison Lane, L-A-N-E.
Okay, prosecutor, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Lane.
Good morning.
Where are you employed?
The New Jersey State Police Office of Forensic Sciences.
And what is your title there?
I am a Forensic Scientist 2, assigned to the Forensic Serology Unit.
Okay. And which lab do you work out of in particular?
Central Laboratory in Hamilton, Mercer County.
In a nutshell, can you tell us what it is that you do as a forensic scientist too, particularly with regard to serological testing?
I analyze evidence for biological fluids such as blood, semen, and saliva.
Now, in that regard, what is your role in the process of DNA analysis?
I try to identify and isolate potential biological stains that can be forwarded to DNA from potential blood, semen, and saliva.
Because DNA cannot be found if there's no biological staining or material, is that right?
Yes.
So your job is essentially to look for that on a piece of evidence?
Yes.
Now, sometimes do you swab for something called E-cells?
Yes.
What is that?
E cells, it stands for epithelial cells, which are skin cells.
Now, are there certain broad responsibilities that you have when you receive a case to work on, in particular with regard to the chain of custody?
Yes.
And what is that?
We are required to maintain the chain of custody. It's an electronic document of where the evidence is at all times in the laboratory.
Okay, and we'll talk more about that momentarily, but I'd like to discuss your educational and professional background. I'm going to show counseling you what's been marked as S438. May I approach, Judge?
You can.
I'm showing you S438. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is my CV.
Okay, and did you prepare that?
Yes, I did.
Is it 3 pages?
It is.
Can you provide the jury with the benefit of your educational background?
I earned a Bachelor's of Science degree from the Pennsylvania State University in Science and a Master's degree from Rutgers University in Microbiology and Molecular Genetics.
Now, chronologically, can you take us through your professional experience and summarize what you did in each role?
I have always been employed in the Forensic Serology Unit at the New Jersey State Police Office of Forensic Sciences. I started in May of 2003 as a chemist trainee. Then I was promoted to a chemist, then to a Forensic Scientist 1, and now as a Forensic Scientist 2.
Okay. And can you just explain the difference between a Forensic Scientist 1 and 2 with regard to your role?
A Forensic Scientist 2 does the same as a Forensic Scientist 1, but is also required for doing peer review and administrative review of other analyst casework, and is responsible for training new hires into the unit that they work in.
And what is peer review?
The peer review is a review of the laboratory case file to make sure that all of the procedures and protocols were followed in that particular case.
So, for example, when you do your work, do you conduct a report?
Yes.
And then does each report get peer reviewed by somebody else?
Yes.
And what is that peer reviewer looking for?
They're making sure that they agree with all the analysis, that all the procedures and protocols were followed for a particular case, and if they were to analyze the case, they would follow the same testing scheme.
Now, do you also peer review others' work?
I do.
Do you hold a certification in biological stain identification?
I do.
And when did you receive that certification?
In March of 2004.
What were the requirements to receive that certification?
It was a 9-month to a year process where I learned all the procedures and protocols under a senior level forensic scientist. I had to do 2 written exams, 2 practical exams, and a moot court before I could do independent casework.
Now, do you have to undergo periodic proficiency testing?
Yes.
And what is that?
Proficiency test is a yearly test that is a mock case with a known target value. I treat it like a regular case, and I have to obtain the target value to maintain my certification.
And And are you in good standing with all of your proficiency testing to date?
Yes.
Now, is the New Jersey State Police Lab accredited?
Yes.
By whom?
By the American National Accreditation Board. It's ANAB.
Okay. And what does it mean, in a nutshell, to be accredited?
It means that we are following all the guiding principles that the accrediting body, they come in, they look at all of our procedures and protocols and make sure that we're doing what they're saying that we should be doing.
Are you a member of any professional organizations?
Yes.
What are those?
I'm a member of the New Jersey Association of Forensic Scientists as well as the New Jersey Homicide Investigators Association.
Now, have you worked daily in the fields of serological analysis, specifically biological stain identification, since you became certified?
Yes.
Could you estimate the number of times that you've analyzed a piece of evidence for the presence of biological fluids and/or stains?
It would be tens of thousands.
Have you ever testified in Superior Court as an expert in the field of forensic serology / biological stain identification?
Yes.
In what jurisdictions?
In 17 of the 21 counties in New Jersey and one time in Pennsylvania.
Now, how many times have you qualified as an expert in Superior Court in that field?
Over 165.
Judge, at this time, the state would seek to offer this witness as an expert in the field of forensic serology, specifically biological stain identification.
Anybody here? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while. Okay. As a general rule, witnesses can only testify to facts known by them. This rule ordinarily does not permit to be received as evidence the opinion of a witness who is not testifying as an expert. However, an exception to this rule exists in the case of an expert witness who may give their opinion as to any matter in which they are versed, which is material to the case. In legal terminology, an expert witness is a witness who has some special knowledge, skill, experience, or training that is not possessed by the ordinary juror, and who thus may be able to provide assistance to the jury in understanding the evidence presented and determine the facts in this case. You are not bound by such expert's opinion, but you should consider the opinion and give it the weight to which you deem it is entitled, whether that be great or slight, or you may reject it. In examining an expert opinion, you may consider the reasons given for it, if any, and you may also consider the qualifications and credibility of the expert. It is always within the special function of the jury to determine whether the facts on which the answer or testimony of an expert is based actually exist. The value or weight of the opinion of the expert is dependent upon, and is no stronger than, the facts on which it is based. In other words, the probative value of the opinion will depend upon whether, from all of the evidence in the case, you find those facts are true. You may, in fact, determine from the evidence in this case that the facts that form the basis of the opinion are true, or not true, or true only in part. And in light of such findings, you should decide what effect you should decide what effect such determination has upon the weight to be given to the opinion of the expert. Your acceptance or rejection of the expert opinion will depend, therefore, to some extent, on your findings as to the truth of the facts relied upon. You and you alone are the sole fact finders of the case. You must be persuaded solely by the evidence presented at trial while determining whether the state has satisfied its burden. My face must be frozen. I can't speak today. I'm sorry. As the sole judges of the facts, you are to determine the credibility of the various witnesses, as well as the weight to be afforded to their testimony, to determine whether the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt all the elements of the crimes charged. With that being said, I'll accept this witness as an expert in the field of forensic serology, specifically biological stain identification. Go ahead, counsel.
Could you tell the jury how evidence gets received into the lab?
A law enforcement agency, such as a local police department or a prosecutor's office, brings evidence to the evidence receiving unit at the laboratory. At that time, a unique laboratory case number is assigned to that particular case, and an evidence receipt is generated. That evidence receipt has a summation of the crime that's being charged, and it itemizes every piece of evidence that is coming into that laboratory. The evidence then goes into the vault where it's stored until it is ready for analysis.
So when the submitting agency brings a piece of evidence or multiple pieces of evidence, that will have the agency's case number on it?
Yes.
And then it gets a unique laboratory case number, is that right?
Yes.
And then is there a yellow laboratory sticker that goes onto that piece of evidence?
Yes.
Okay, and then you indicated that an evidence receipt is generated, is that right?
Yes.
And that evidence receipt will have the agency case number as well as your unique lab number, is that correct? Do I have that right?
Yes.
How is it that you, as the serologist, would be assigned a particular case?
When I need cases to work on in the laboratory, I go to the case manager. I'm given that evidence receipt that was generated at submission. I take that receipt to the vault where an evidence handler gives me the evidence and scans it into my custody to maintain that chain of custody.
And what steps do you take to protect the integrity of the evidence that you receive?
In the laboratory, there are examination rooms where only one case is worked on at a time, only one item is worked on at a time. If there's multiple sources in a particular case, if there's items from a scene 1 and a scene 2, those are processed in different locations in the laboratory. The rooms are cleaned with bleach and ethanol, the tabletops with bleach and ethanol prior to and at the end of analysis. The floors are vacuumed. I have to wear a hairnet, face mask, safety goggles, lab coat, and gloves as well.
Now, do you, as the forensic serologist, do you do different types of testing depending on what you're looking for in terms of blood, saliva, semen, etc.?
Yes.
What are the current testing methods that your lab utilizes for the testing of blood?
The laboratory uses the Kastle-Meyer test, the presumptive test for blood.
Can you explain to the jury how the Kastle-Meyer test works?
3 different reagents are applied to a suspected blood stain, and if it turns bright pink within 6 seconds after the addition of that 3rd reagent, it indicates that blood may be present.
Now, when you swab something for E-cells, which you talked about a little bit about earlier, how do you do that? What does that entail?
Sterile swabs from the laboratory are moistened with some deionized water, and the area that is being targeted for potential skin cells, usually it's where it'd be high contact with the skin, is then swabbed with those swabs and then forwarded to DNA for further testing.
And do you make the determination as to what gets forwarded over to DNA depending on the results of your testing?
Yes.
Now, when you perform a test on something, so for example, a swab, does the entire swab get sent over to DNA?
No, only a portion of that swab would be forwarded to DNA.
And then similarly, how about if you cut something to analyze? Would that be sent over to DNA, or would the whole piece of evidence be sent over? How does it work?
If there is a stain on a large item, then only a portion of that stain is forwarded to DNA.
Now, once you complete your testing and analysis, do you create a written report?
Yes.
And is that report dated?
Yes.
And does it have your signature on it?
Yes.
And how about the unique lab number that's assigned to the case?
Yes.
Okay. And is it ultimately peer or tech reviewed?
It is.
Okay. Will it have that individual's initials on it that peer or tech reviewed it?
Yes.
Did you take notes as well in addition when you're doing your testing?
Yes.
And would those notes also have that unique case number on it?
Yes.
Are there times when certain items come to you that wouldn't necessarily be tested by serology but would nonetheless be sent over to DNA for testing?
Yes.
And what are those items?
Specifically, DNA references that are submitted to the laboratory are not analyzed in the forensic serology unit. Those are known samples from an individual, and they're used for the DNA comparison in the DNA laboratory.
So typically like a buccal swab or a cheek swab?
Yes.
Now, when items come in from the submitting agency to the lab, are they itemized in terms of the chronology of the ordering of the numbers that they receive? So let me ask a better question. For example, if you get 5 pieces of evidence submitted by an agency, on the evidence property receipt that the lab creates, are those items itemized?
Yes, they are.
And how would they be itemized?
They're itemized based on the submitting agency department case number, item number.
Okay. And then when you perform testing on that particular item, are there sub-numbers that are assigned?
Depending upon the piece of evidence, yes.
Okay, so for example, if a piece of evidence comes in and you swab it, and the piece of evidence is number 1, would the swab then become 1-1?
Yes.
And then when you cut a piece of that swab and send that piece of the swab over to DNA, is that piece now 1-1-1?
It is.
Okay, so there's a lot of numbers that are involved, right?
Yes.
to examine multiple items of evidence submitted to you by the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office with respect to this particular case, State of New Jersey versus Paul Caneiro.
I did.
Was evidence submitted from the prosecutor's office under essentially two different case numbers?
It was.
Okay, and did one case number correspond to the Ocean Township scene?
Yes.
And did one case number correspond to evidence taken from the Cold Snap scene?
Yes.
Now, did evidence come in under each of these two different numbers on one day or multiple days?
Multiple days.
And did you prepare reports for each batch of evidence that came into you that you received?
When I analyzed evidence, yes.
So it's fair to say you have multiple reports in this case under each lot number?
I do.
I'm showing counsel, and I will show you what's been marked as S410, S439, and S433A. We'll go through each one at a time. Well, if you could, let's start with S410. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
This is the evidence receipt for laboratory case number C18-10138, dated November 23rd, 2018.
Does it indicate who the person was that dropped off the evidence listed on there?
Yes.
Who is that?
Detective Nicholas Canalona.
Now, how many items are listed on that evidence receipt?
9.
Can you just go through each of them for us?
Item number 1 is a FTA card from Jennifer Caneiro. Item number 2 is an FTA card from Jesse Caneiro. Item number 3 is an FTA card from Sophia Caneiro. Item number 4 is an FTA card from Keith Caneiro. Item number 5 is listed as a swab of handle of knife. Number 6, swab of handle of knife. Number 7, swab of handle of knife. Number 8, swab of handle from knife. And number 9, knife with black handle.
An FTA card is what?
It is another known sample. It's a blood spot card that is used for DNA comparison purposes.
I'm approaching with items S339, 340, 341, and 342. Let's start with S339. I'm going to ask you if you recognize that.
I have never seen the FDA cards before.
Okay, so they didn't come to you. They went straight to DNA, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Got it, okay, so I would take those back. Now, when they go to DNA, when they're submitted, are they submitted in the same area that the other evidence is submitted?
Yes, all evidence comes in through the evidence receiving unit and then is stored in the vault.
Okay, so just to be clear, actually, let's look at your report. If you could, please turn to S439. What number does that your report start with?
Number 5.
Number 5. And just to be clear, the reason the FTA cards or the buccal swabs wouldn't come to you is because it's pretty clear that there's DNA on it, so there's no testing for you to perform.
Correct. It's a known sample. I only analyze evidence that's questioned.
Okay. I'm showing counsel, and I will show you S314, 315, 316, and 317. I'm going to ask you, just again, if you could, to take a look at S439.
S439, yes.
And what is that?
That's the laboratory report that I authored for C18-10138, dated November 26, 2018.
Okay, and that was that peer reviewed?
Yes.
Okay, and in particular, what number does your lab report start with?
5.
5, okay. And 5 corresponds to what?
Per S410, 5 is a swab of handle from knife.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, and I just showed you up there, if you can please look at S314 first. And what is that?
This is laboratory number 8.
Okay, and in particular, do you know what that is?
It is listed as a swab of blade of knife on the packaging.
Okay, and is it listed as A?
Adhesive marker A, yes.
S315, what is that?
This is laboratory number 6, and it is listed as a swab of blade of knife, adhesive marker B.
S316,
This is item number 7, and it is listed as swab of handle of knife, adhesive marker C.
okay, and S317, please.
This is laboratory number 5, and it is listed as swab of handle of knife, adhesive marker D.
Okay, and the unique laboratory number that is on your report is what?
C18-10138.
And is that same unique laboratory number on each of those swabs that you just testified to?
Yes.
Okay, so when we're dealing with, when we hear the number ending in 38, we're dealing with the cold snap scene, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to look at S439, which is your report. Now, which items on there did you perform testing on?
I performed testing on all the items on the report.
Okay, in particular, can you take us through the report starting with item 5?
I performed the Castlemeyer test on item number 5.
And what were the results of that?
I was unable to detect any potential blood on it, but a portion was forwarded to DNA for further testing.
Okay. How about number 6?
Number 6 was also tested for the presumptive test for blood. The results were not detected and did not forward a sample to DNA at that time.
Number 7?
7 was tested for potential blood. It was not detected, and a portion was forwarded to DNA for further testing.
And number 9? I'm sorry, number 8.
Number 8 was tested for potential blood. It was not detected, and no sample was sent to DNA at that time.
Okay, so just to be clear, 5 and 7, number 5 corresponds to, is it S314, evidence marker A?
Number 5?
Yeah.
Number 5 corresponds to adhesive marker D, which is S317.
Got it. And how about item number 7? What does that correspond to in terms of the S number?
The S number, S316.
Okay. Now, when you say you forwarded portions of those swabs to DNA, did you have to cut those swabs?
Yes.
So did number 5 become 5-1
It did.
and 7 became 7-1?
For the portions that went to DNA, yes.
Okay. Now, what is number 9 listed as?
A knife?
I'm going to show you in council what's been marked as S313. Do you recognize the markings on this box?
Yes.
And what is that?
This is laboratory number 9 for C18-10138.
What, if anything, and actually I can refer you, and I should have asked you this, so I apologize, S443A, if you can look at that and just tell us what that is.
I only have S443, not an A on here.
There should be a tab on there that says A.
Oh, sorry. Got it.
What is that?
That is page 1 of my laboratory case notes.
Okay, now, what, if anything, do you note about the dimensions of that knife that you examined?
I have the dimensions as approximately 7.5 inches by 1.5 inches for the blade, and approximately 5.5 inches by 1.25 inches for the handle.
Okay, now even though the prosecutor's office took swabs of that knife and submitted them to you, did you take your own swabs?
Yes.
How many?
I did 3 swabs from the blade and 1 swab from the handle.
Okay, so 9-1, is that a swab that you took from the blade?
Yes.
Was Castlemeyer performed on that?
Yes.
What were the results?
I got an inconclusive result.
Okay, and nonetheless, was half of that swab cut and did it become 911?
It did.
Was that sent over to DNA?
Yes.
What is 9-2?
Another sample from the blade.
Was Castlemeyer performed?
It was.
And what were the results?
That was inconclusive as well.
Okay, and was half of that swab cut and sent to DNA?
Yes.
Did that become 9-1?
Yes.
How about 9-3?
9-3 was another sample from the blade.
Was Castlemeyer performed?
Yes.
What was that?
That was also inconclusive.
Okay, and was half of that swab cut and sent to DNA?
Yes.
And did that become 9-3-1?
It did.
And how about 9-4?
9-4 was a swabbing of the handle.
Okay, was that for E cells?
Yes.
Okay. And was Castlemeyer performed on that?
Yes.
And what was the result?
Not detected.
And was half of that swab cut and sent to DNA
Yes.
to become 941?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm just going to take this back from you. Show you what's been marked as S 411, 450, and 457. And we'll start with S 411. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
This is the evidence receipt for laboratory case number C18-10139, and it is dated 11/23/18.
Okay, and so 39, that means we're dealing with which scene?
Ocean Township.
Okay, and when were those items dropped off? You may have said it, I'm sorry.
November 23rd, 2018.
And who were those items dropped off by?
Detective Nicholas Candelona.
And what are the items listed as?
There were 8 items submitted. Would you like me to explain each one?
Please.
Item number 1 was a burnt nitrile glove from scene 1, which is listed as 27 Tilton Drive. Item number 2 is a swab of biological staining from the left side front door frame, also scene 1. Number 3 was a swab from biological staining from foyer wall, which is scene 1. Item number 4 is gray fleece sweatshirt from scene 1. Item number 5 was piled charred clothing from scene 1. Item number 6 was pile of charred articles from scene 1. Item number 7 was a bandage from a cup holder from scene 2, which is indicated as a vehicle with registration plate NJ-DCJ3105.
Now, did you start off your testing, well, I'll ask you, which item did you start your testing with?
There was one more item that was submitted.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Item number 8 was a piece of a black glove, also from scene 2, that vehicle.
Thank you. Which of these items did you start your testing with?
I'd have to refer to the laboratory case notes.
Okay, so I'm going to refer you to S457, tab A, if you could. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
Tab A is the first page of my laboratory case notes for C18-10139.
Okay, and does it indicate what you started with in terms of which item?
Yes.
Which one?
Item number 6, the pile of articles from scene 1.
Okay, so you started with 6. I'm going to come back to that. I want to ask you about a couple of other items. So if we could start with item number 1, could you just tell us what was that?
Referring to S411, the evidence receipt, item number 1 was the burnt nitrile glove.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you to take a look at S450, your report. You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and what's the date on there?
11/26/2018.
Is that the date you performed your testing?
The testing compiled of several days. I started the analysis on November 23rd, 2018, and finished it on November 26th, 2018.
Okay, and item 1 on your report is what?
The burnt glove.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as S156. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
This is item number 1 for laboratory case number C18-10139.
And that laboratory case number is on there?
It is.
Okay. What did you do with this particular piece of evidence?
Referring to S57, which is my laboratory case notes. And it's still within tab A. I swabbed the entire item as best as possible due to the condition. It was difficult for potential E cells. I also tested that for potential blood. I wasn't I got a not detected reaction. I wasn't able to detect any blood on that item, and a portion was forwarded to DNA for further testing.
Okay, and the portion that became forwarded to DNA, did that become 111?
It did.
Okay. If you could look on your report at item 7, and just tell us what that is.
Item number 7 on the report
Yes.
is a bandage from scene 2.
Okay, and what did you do with that bandage?
I did the presumptive test for blood on it. I got a positive reaction and forwarded a piece to DNA for further testing.
Okay, and just to be clear, is that the bandage that was in the cup holder of the car?
Yes.
And did that become 711 when it got sent to DNA?
Yes.
What is item 8 on your report?
Item number 8 is a piece of glove from scene 2, the vehicle.
I'm going to show you, just have to find it, what's been marked as S230. Council. Showing you what's been marked as S230. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
This is item number 8, laboratory case number C18-10139.
Okay, is that the small piece of the glove?
Yes.
How do you describe that in your notes?
Referring to S57, I indicate it as one small, approximately 1 1/4 inch by 1 5/8 inch piece of black material, possible piece of a glove.
What did you do with that item?
I swabbed the entire item with one swab. I did the presumptive test for blood. I got a positive reaction, and then I forwarded a piece of that swab to DNA for further testing.
Okay, did that become 811, the swab that you forwarded to DNA, or piece of the swab?
Yes.
Take that back from you. If you could on your report tell us what item 2 is.
Item number 2 is a swab.
And specifically, does that correspond on the evidence property receipt with a further description?
Yes.
What is
Left side of front door frame.
Okay, and what, if anything, did you do with that swab?
I did the presumptive test for blood on that swab. I got a positive reaction and forwarded a piece onto DNA for further testing.
And did that piece become 2-1?
It did.
How about item 3? What is that?
Item number 3 was another swab, and referring to S411, that was from the foyer wall. I did the presumptive test for blood on that swab as well, got a positive reaction, and forwarded that onto DNA for further testing.
And did that become 3-1?
Yes.
What about item number 4? What is that?
Item number 4 is a sweatshirt from scene 1.
Okay, and was anything done with that?
I did not analyze that item.
Okay, and just if you could tell the jury why, like why wouldn't you analyze a particular item?
The laboratory does the analysis for the entire state of New Jersey, so we employ case management, and not every item in a case can get analyzed at a given time. We know we can always go back and do more analysis if deemed necessary.
Now, when you looked at that item, or when it came to, was there any obvious staining or anything like that on it?
On the sweatshirt?
Yes.
I'm going to refer to S457, my laboratory case notes. I did not open that evidence at that time.
Understood, okay. Now, I want to discuss items 5 and 6 with you. How are they labeled on that evidence receipt, starting with 5?
5 was listed as a pile of charred clothing.
Okay. With potential biological staining?
Yes.
Okay. And item 6 is listed as what?
Pile of charred articles with biological staining.
Okay, and I think you said you examined pile 6 first, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And again, we're talking about, this item comes from the Ocean Township scene, is that right?
Yes.
What condition was item 6 submitted to you in?
Referring to the laboratory case notes, I indicated that they were submitted wet.
Okay, and were the items, what if anything further did you note about the items?
That they were charred, potentially burnt. They were burnt together, potentially melted, and they were all in a pile.
Okay. What did you do with that pile?
I separated it as best as possible.
Now, were there certain items that you were able to separate from the pile that you then labeled with a sub number?
Yes.
Okay, so just to be clear, that whole pile is item 6, is that right?
Yes.
And then what did you label as item 6-1?
Pair of jeans.
How about 6-2?
6'2" was a t-shirt.
6-3?
6'3" were gloves.
How do you list them in your notes, I should say?
In my notes, 6'3" is indicated as 2 gloves, 1 inside the other, 3 individual gloves, and 1 partial glove.
Okay, do you know something about their color? I'm referring you to page 1 of your notes on S457A.
I had several black examination style gloves.
Okay. Where were they found specifically?
In the pile of articles in number 6.
Okay. 6-4 is what?
A live round?
A live round of ammunition?
Yes.
Where was that found?
Within that pile of articles.
Okay, and 6-5 is what?
The remainder of the articles that were in that pile that was submitted.
Okay, and did you leave those to dry?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as S232. Showing council. Showing you what's been marked as S232. I'm going to ask you if you recognize these. One second, I'm sorry. Here's the lab casing. The yellow sticker on it. Okay, we can look, but do you recognize these?
I do.
Okay, and what are these?
This is item number 6-1. So the pile of articles is number 6. This is the genes that I sub-sampled as 6-1 for laboratory case number C18-10139.
Okay, I'm gonna leave these here for a moment. We'll talk about them. Now, you refer in your notes, I'm gonna refer you to S457A-2. How did you note that this item looked when it came to you?
I indicated that it was submitted in a charred, semi-burnt condition with rips and tears present.
I'm gonna refer you to where you say Levi's brand. Do you see that?
Yes.
Can you read all of that?
1 pair of jeans, Levi's brand, no size legible, submitted in a charred, semi-burnt condition, rips, tears present, orange-brown and red-brown staining present.
Okay. And do you indicate that the rear of the jeans have several large tears?
Further down in my notes, yes.
Okay, and you indicate that there are 5 areas of staining.
I indicated that I tested 5 areas of staining, yes.
Now, did you actually take samples from 6 different areas on these jeans?
I did stain testing on 5 of them and then an epithelial or skin cell swabbing on the 6th area.
Okay, and did each sample that you took then become a sub-number?
It did,
Okay, so 6-1 is the jeans, right?
yes,
And then the sample, the first sample would be 6-1-1, is that right?
yes.
Did you perform the Kassemeyer test on each of the areas of staining on the jeans, each of the 5 areas that you sampled?
Yes.
Okay, and what were the results of those?
I got positive reaction for the 5 areas on the front of the jeans that I tested and then 1 on the rear.
Now, the areas that you tested on the jeans, did you mark those areas from where you took the samples with anything?
Yes.
Okay, and what was that?
White China marker?
Okay, and did you also put little tags on there?
Yes.
And did those tags contain the sub-numbers?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna hold up. Can you just show the jury, if you can take us through what each of your tags are where you tested?
Sure. Is it okay if I stand?
Absolutely, go ahead.
So 6-1 is indicated on the tag here, and there's an outline in white. 6-1-2 is this lower area outlined in white. 6-1-3 is this area on the right side, upper thigh area. 6-1-4 is this lower area on the left side. And then 6-1-5 is on the back. In the back, on here.
Thank you. If you could take a look at S450, which is your report in this case. 6-1-1, which you showed us, what is that staining from?
Front left thigh area.
Okay, and did you take a sample from there?
I did.
Did that become 6-1-1-1?
Yes.
And was that sent to DNA?
Yes.
How about 6-1-2? What is that?
Staining front left shin area.
Did you take a sample from there?
Yes.
And did that become 6-1-2-1?
Yes.
Was that sent to DNA?
Yes.
How about 6-1-3? What is that?
Front right thigh area.
Okay, and what did you do with that?
I got the positive reaction for the Castlemeyer test, and a portion was submitted to DNA.
Did that become 6-1-3-1?
It did.
How about 6-1-4?
It was staining from the front right shin area.
Okay, and did you take a sample from there?
Yes.
Was that sent to DNA? And
Yes.
did that become 6-1-4-1?
Yes.
How about 6-1-5?
That was the staining from the rear left calf area.
What did you do with that?
They got the positive reaction for the Castlemeyer test, and a portion was forwarded to DNA for further testing.
And did that portion become 6-1-5-1?
Yes.
Now finally, what is 6-1-6?
That was a swabbing of the inside waistband to try and collect any potential epithelial or skin cells to determine who may have worn the jeans.
And was a portion of that sent to DNA?
Yes.
Did that become 6-1-6-1?
Yes.
Thank you. Now what is item 6-2 on your report?
A t-shirt that was found in that pile of articles.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as S231E. Do you recognize this?
Thank you. Yes.
And what is this?
This is item 6-2 for laboratory case number C18-10139.
Now, are there also tags on this item as well?
Yes.
Can you just indicate where those tags are and what the numbers are?
There is one tag in the upper right shoulder area that is indicating that that is 6-2-1. I got a positive reaction for the Castlemeyer test in that area. And then there's another tag in the manufacturer's information area with the laboratory case number, item number, and my initials.
Okay, now did 621 up here, did part of that go to DNA?
Yes.
And did it become 6211?
Yes.
And then the swabbing that you performed for the E cells in the collar, is that what you said?
I didn't say that, but I did perform a swabbing of the inside collar to determine who may have worn that shirt as well.
Okay. And in particular, did you send a portion of that to DNA?
I did.
And was that 6221?
Yes.
I want to ask you about some gloves that you had indicated that you found. And I'm going to refer you to, in particular, 6-3. Do you see that on your report?
Yes.
Are those the gloves that you had described as black examination style gloves?
Yes.
Okay. And if you need to refer to S457A, page 2 of your notes, feel free. But how many gloves were there in total?
There were 5 gloves and 1 partial glove.
Okay. How did they come?
There was one glove inside of another, so 2 gloves, one inside the other, and then 3 individual gloves, and then the partial glove.
The partial glove, was it the fingers only?
That's what I indicated, yes.
I'm going to show you S233 and S234. I'm going to show you first what has been marked as S233. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
These are the 2 gloves that were received inside each other. These 2 gloves became 6-3-1, and then they were separated out as to 6-3-1-1 and 6-3-1-2.
Okay. Now the other gloves, did you do anything with those?
One of the other gloves I did, and then the, no, excuse me, I did not do anything else with the other gloves.
Okay. So the only gloves that you performed testing on were the 2 and S233, is that right?
Correct.
Judge, permission to just publish this to the jury?
Any objection? No, okay, go ahead.
Now, the 2 gloves up there, S233, that you indicated one came inside of the other, is that right?
Yes.
What item do they correspond to on your report?
On my report, they correspond to item 6-3-1, and then they were further subsampled out as to 6-3-1-1 and 6-3-1-2.
Okay, so did one of those gloves become 6-3-1-1?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that one. What, if anything, did you note about that glove in your report or your notes?
Referring to my notes, which is S457, I indicated that 6-3-1-1 had staining that covered approximately 95% of the outside as I separated it.
Was Castlemeyer performed on that?
Yes.
And what were the results?
I got a positive reaction.
And what, if anything, did you do with that glove?
I removed an area of the staining with one swab. That became 6-3-1-1, and then a portion of that was forwarded on to DNA for further testing.
Okay, and that portion became 6-3-1-1-1, right?
Yes,
Okay. Did you swab the inside of that glove as well?
I did.
Okay, and did you perform the Castlemeyer test?
Yes.
What were the results?
I was not able to detect any blood on that swabbing, but a portion was forwarded on for potential skin cells.
Okay, and did that become 6-3-1-1-2-1?
The portion that went to DNA, yes.
Okay. Now, if you can show us which glove we are talking about, just so we have an idea.
This glove to your left is the 6-3-1-1, and the area that I removed staining from is outlined in white.
Thank you. Now, the other glove that's on there, 6-3-1-2, was there any obvious staining on that?
No, I indicated that there was no obvious staining.
Was that the glove that was inside of the other one?
I believe so, yes.
What, if anything, did you do with that glove?
I swabbed it for potential skin cells. I did the Castlemeyer test on that. I got a positive reaction weak and forwarded a portion on to DNA for further testing.
Okay, and did that portion become 6-3-1-2-1-1?
What went to DNA? Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to take this back. I'm going to show you what has been marked as S241. showing counsel. Do you recognize this packaging?
I recognize our laboratory barcode on it, yes, but I don't believe I saw this packaging before.
Okay. What is the number on the laboratory barcode?
It's item number 6-4 for laboratory case number C18-10139.
And what item does that correspond to on your evidence receipt? Not your evidence receipt, your report, I'm sorry.
The live round that was found within that pile of articles.
Was there a head stamp that you note on that live round that was found in the pile of articles?
Yes.
And what was that?
I indicated it as, referring to S457, my laboratory case notes. I indicated it as 10 GFL 10 9x19.
Okay, and what, if anything, was done with that?
I repackaged it into manila envelopes and preserved it for potential ballistics evidence. I did no analysis at that time.
Did you make a phone call to anyone to advise them of that?
I believe so.
Is that going to be from the prosecutor's office?
Yes.
Now, S231, S231, item 6-5 on your report, what is that?
Miscellaneous articles.
What, if anything, did you do with those?
I did not do any analysis on those articles. I just wrapped them in the brown paper I received them in.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as S231C, showing counsel, and then S231D. Do you recognize these?
Yes.
And are those miscellaneous articles?
Yes.
Can you just explain to us how this was found in regard to the jeans when the pile came to you? Do you remember?
Everything was received in one packaging. That yellow plastic piece, everything was connected as one item, so I separated it out as best as possible into the 5 subsamples that are issued on my report and just pulled apart everything that I potentially could.
Thank you. Now, at some point, was some further testing done to the jeans by yourself?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to leave those up there with you. I'm going to show you what's been marked as S39 and S440 in showing counsel. Starting with S349. Do you recognize that?
S349.
Yes.
This is another evidence receipt from the ballistics unit for laboratory case number C18-10138.
Okay, and how about S440? Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
This is a laboratory report that I authored dated 11/28/2018 for C18-10138.
Okay, so 38, are we talking about evidence that was taken from the Colts neck scene?
Yes.
Do you have S443B up, or 443 up there with you? I think you might have had it from before, your notes.
443?
Yes.
I do.
Okay, and those notes, are they, specifically subsection B, do those notes go along with this particular report, S440?
Yes.
Now, what is the date of your report?
November 28th, 2018.
Okay. And does a swab come to you from the ballistics unit?
Yes.
And what is that swab from?
It is a swab for E-cells from item number 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, and 21.
And what are those items that you just listed?
Referring to the evidence receipt, which is S349, those are cartridge casings from the property, the grass, and different areas of that location.
In Cold Snack?
Correct.
Now, do you perform any testing on that?
On the swab, no. I cut a portion and forwarded it to DNA for their testing.
Okay. And in particular, that swab is a swab, one swab of each of those items that you listed?
Correct.
And that swab, or that portion that you cut to send to DNA, is that 13-1-1?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as S350 and S451. Showing council. We'll start with S451. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
This is a laboratory report that I authored for C18-10139, dated November 28th, 2018.
All right, 39. Now, what scene are we talking about?
Ocean Township.
Okay. And what is S350?
S350 is a evidence receipt from the ballistics unit for C18-10139.
Now, let me ask you, what does your serology report S451 indicate?
That I analyzed a swab for E cells number 15-1.
Okay. So number 15 on that evidence property receipt, what is that item?
Item number 15 is a semi-automatic handgun Sig Sauer P228 SNB233959.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you do with that swab of that handgun that came from ballistics?
I cut a portion of that swab and forwarded it to DNA for their testing.
Did it become 15-1-1?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as S442. Show the council. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
And what is that?
A laboratory report that I authored for laboratory case number C18-10138, dated January 17th, 2019.
Okay. Now, if I could refer you to S349, which we just previously discussed. Do you have that up there?
What was the state number?
I'm sorry, S349.
349. Yes.
Okay. Now, on your report, does it list an item that was sent to you?
My report, yes, 10-1.
Okay. And what was 10-1?
A swab for E cells.
Now, on that evidence property receipt, what is item 10 that was swabbed?
A cartridge from the paved deck.
Okay. And again, this is number, it ends in 38.
Yes.
So we're talking about the cold snap scene, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so there was a cartridge from the paved deck there.
Yes.
What, if anything, did you do with the swab 10-1?
I cut a portion of that swab and submitted it to DNA for further testing.
Okay, and did that become 10-1-1?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as S412 and
Can I just go back for 1 second? Slane, can you go to S442 for a second?
442?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Just to discuss it. Can you tell me the date of that report?
Yes, it is January 17th, 2019.
2019. Okay, thank you. Prosecutor.
Thank you, Judge. I'm going to show you what's been marked as S413 and 4. I'm going to show you S412 first and S242. Let me show you what's been marked as S412. Do you recognize this?
This is a laboratory receipt for laboratory case number C18-10139 with a submission date of November 27, 2018.
Okay, and what in particular is listed on there?
It is a buccal swab from suspect Paul Caneiro.
Okay, now you didn't actually receive that buccal swab, right?
Correct.
Was that sent directly to DNA?
I assume so, yes.
Showing you S413. You recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
This is an evidence receipt for laboratory case number C18-10139, dated December 6, 2018.
And what is listed on there?
It is a buccal swab from Sean Edson.
Right, and again, you didn't actually get that buccal swab, right?
Correct.
I went right to DNA.
I assume so, yes.
Well, is that what it normally does?
It would, yes.
Now, was approval obtained to perform additional serological testing on other areas of the genes, item 6.1?
Yes.
And for those areas of the genes that were not previously tested?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as S454, showing counsel. I'm going to ask you if you recognize this.
I do.
And what is that?
This is a laboratory report that I authored for laboratory case number C18-10139, dated January 17, 2019.
Now, do you have S457 up there with you still? I believe you do.
Yes.
Okay. And in particular, I would just refer you, if you need to, your notes are subsection C.
Okay.
Now, on S454, your report, in particular, how many more areas of those genes were tested by you?
I tested 2 additional areas for potential blood and forwarded those samples to DNA for further testing. And I swabbed different areas to try and isolate potential epithelial or skin cells.
Okay, so on your report, what is the first item there that's listed that you tested?
Staining front left thigh area.
And does that correlate to 6-1-7?
Yes.
Did you submit a portion of that? I think you said you did, but did you submit a portion of that to DNA?
Yes.
Did that portion become 6-1-7-1?
Yes.
Okay. And just by the way, I should have asked you earlier, but is it swabs that you're taking, or are you doing something else to those areas?
For the staining, I take a small portion of the staining on a sterile swab in the laboratory to do my Kastle-Meyer testing, and then a portion is actually cut out of the genes and forwarded to DNA for their testing.
Okay. And then, what is 6-1-8?
Staining from the front right shin area.
Okay, and what, if anything, did you do with that?
I got the positive reaction for the Kastle-Meyer test, and a portion was forwarded to DNA for further testing.
And did that portion become 6-1-8-1?
Yes.
And how about 6-1-9?
I did a swabbing of the inside pockets and knee areas to try and collect any potential skin cells from who may have worn or used the jeans, and did the Kastle-Meyer test on that swabbing. I was not able to detect any blood, but a portion was forwarded to DNA for further testing.
And did that portion become 6-1-9-1?
Yes.
Okay. And then is there an item listed on there, 6-4-1?
Yes.
And what is that?
That is a swab of the live round.
Okay, and the live round are we talking about that was found in the genes earlier?
It was found in the pile of articles.
Okay, understood. And did you do any testing with that swab?
No, I cut a portion of that swab for DNA for their testing.
Now, do you know who took that swab of that live round? What unit?
It was somebody in the ballistics or the state police CSI unit.
Now, did the portion of that swab that you cut for DNA testing become 6-4-1-1?
Yes.
Okay, now finally, I'm going to show you what has been marked as S414 and S414. As well as S446. Let me show counsel. We could start with S414. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
This is an evidence receipt for laboratory case number C18-10138, dated February 25th, 2020.
Okay, and how many items are listed on there? If you could tell us the numbers.
There are 5 items, laboratory numbers 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32.
Okay, and who delivered those items on February 25th of 2020?
Detective Stephen Boat.
And again, I know you said it, but the lab number on there, your unique lab number, is that 10138?
Yes.
Okay, so we're talking about the cold snack scene.
Yes.
Can you just read each of those items on the evidence property receipt to tell us what they say?
Laboratory 28 is DNA swab of reddish stain from door frame in between foyer and kitchen of 15 Willowbrook Road, Colts Neck, New Jersey. 29 is DNA sample scraping of reddish stain from door frame in between foyer and kitchen of that same address. Item number 30 is DNA swab of reddish stain from south side of kitchen island of the same address. Item number 31 is DNA swab of reddish stain from the lower kitchen cabinet on the north side of the kitchen next to the garbage disposal and that same address. Item number 32 is DNA swab of reddish stain from the pull out drawer just below the sink on the north side of the kitchen and the same address.
Now, on your report, let me ask you if you could take a look at S444. Do you recognize that?
S444, yes.
And what is that?
That is a laboratory report that I authored for C18-10138, dated March 9th of 2020.
Okay, and do the items that you just read on that evidence property receipt correspond to items listed that you tested on your report?
Yes.
So item 28 on your report is what?
Item 28 is the swab of the reddish stain from the door frame in between the foyer and the kitchen.
Showing council S334, 335, 336, 337, and 338. Okay, I'm approaching you with those items. I'm just going to leave them here for a moment. But if you could just, I'm sorry, go down the line. So you indicated item 28. What is item 29 on your report?
29 is the DNA sample scraping of reddish stain from door frame in between foyer and kitchen.
Okay, how about item 30?
30 is a swab of the reddish stain from the south side of the kitchen island.
How about 31?
31 is the swab of reddish stain from the lower kitchen cabinet on the north side of the kitchen next to the garbage disposal.
And how about item 32?
32 is the swab of reddish stain from the pull-out drawer just below the sink on the north side of the kitchen.
Now, up there with you, you have S334. I'm going to ask if you recognize that.
Yes.
And what is that?
This is laboratory number 28 for C18-10138.
Okay, and does that correspond to the swab of the door frame from the kitchen?
Between the foyer and the kitchen.
Okay. How about S335? Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
This is laboratory number 29.
Okay, and does that correspond to the sample of the scraping from the door frame from the foyer in the kitchen?
Yes.
How about S336? Do you recognize that one?
Yes.
What is that?
This is item number 30, which is the swab of the kitchen island south side.
Okay. And how about S337?
This is item number 31, which is the swab of the lower kitchen cabinet north side of the kitchen.
Okay, and S338.
S338 is item number 32, which is the swab of the pull-out drawer just below the sink of the north side of the kitchen.
Now, on each of those, S334 through 338, is your unique lab number on each of those?
Yes.
Now, of those 5 samples that the prosecutor's office sent to you, how many of those did the lab choose to test?
I analyzed one.
One. Okay. Now, how do you determine which one you're going to analyze?
I analyzed the one that was marked A by the prosecutor's office.
Okay, so that is A. And now, if Detective Vogt had taken 10 more samples from all around the kitchen and sent them to you, would you have tested all 10 of them?
No.
Why not?
It goes back to that case management that I spoke of earlier, where we have limited resources and can always go back and do more testing.
Now, let's talk about the one that you did test, item 28, the swab of the door frame from the foyer in the kitchen. What did you do with that?
I performed the Castlemeyer test on that swab. I got a positive reaction and forwarded a portion on to DNA for further testing.
Okay, and did that portion that you forwarded it, was that 28-1?
Yes.
Lastly, I'm going to show you what has been marked as S416, S447, and S449, and that was your counsel. Now, were any items resubmitted to the lab for testing on June 7th of 2023?
Yes.
And what were those items?
There was item number 6 and item number 8 from laboratory case number C18-10138.
All right, I'm going to ask if you can look at S416 and ask if you recognize that.
Yes.
What is that?
That is the laboratory receipt for C18-10138 dated June 7th of 2023.
Okay, and what are the items listed on there?
Item 6 and item 8.
Okay, and in particular, you know what, let me ask you this. If you can look at S447, do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
That is the laboratory report that I authored for laboratory case number C18-10138 dated June 27th, 2023.
And finally, S449, what is that?
These are the laboratory case notes that I generated for the testing dated 6/26/23, which correlates to the 6/27/23 report.
Okay, now on your report, what are items 6 and 8?
Swabs from the scene.
Okay, are they swabs in particular from the blade of a knife?
Yes.
Okay, and are those the swabs that were not initially tested from that blade that you discussed earlier?
They were the swabs that I did not initially forward to DNA.
Understood, okay. And was it agreed that those would be retested or re-forwarded?
It was agreed that they would be submitted to DNA.
What did you do with item 6?
I cut a portion of the swab and forwarded it to DNA for their testing.
And did that become 6-1?
Yes.
And then how about item 8? What did you do with that?
I cut a portion of that swab and forwarded it to DNA for their testing.
Thank you. I have nothing further, Judge.
Okay, Cross?
So, okay, what you were doing in this case obviously was cataloging a lot of evidence that you were getting in from the prosecutor's office, correct?
I was analyzing the evidence for potential biological fluids.
And specifically, you were looking in a lot of cases here for blood, right?
Yes.
And obviously, this is a screening tool that the lab uses to determine if there's biological materials on an item and if further testing is warranted, right?
Yes.
Now, the presence of blood would not be enough, obviously, to indicate that a particular individual touched an item, correct?
Can you repeat your question?
Sure. This process that you're talking about is called serology, right?
Yes.
And serology is the determination of whether biological material is on an item, correct?
Yes.
And the biological material we're talking about could be blood, but it could also be saliva or things like that, right?
Correct. It depends.
Go ahead.
But the tests that I perform in the laboratory are specific to the body fluid that I'm analyzing that evidence for.
Okay. Because the different tests produce, they have different reagents that do different things on the item, correct?
Yes.
Because there's different chemicals in saliva than, say, there is in blood, right?
That we're testing for, yes.
Right. Now, these are obviously, we should say, presumptive tests, right?
Correct.
These are not confirmatory tests.
Correct.
Now, the difference between a presumptive test and a confirmatory test is that a confirmatory test confirms that the substance is in fact blood or saliva or whatever the case may be, right?
Yes.
But a presumptive test just means that we can presume it is that substance, but we don't know with certainty.
Correct.
And we don't know with certainty because there is a certain amount of false positives that we could get from a presumptive test.
Correct.
And so when we talk about something like blood, for example, we could get a false positive because of other chemicals that are present on an item of evidence, correct?
Yes.
And certain other organic material like plants and whatnot could create a false positive for blood.
Yes.
And also, we wouldn't be able to distinguish animal blood from human blood in a presumptive test. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, obviously, we could from these tests determine that there's a presumption that blood is on certain items, but the serology itself doesn't tell us whose blood it is.
Correct.
So it can't tell us, for example, if we're looking at something we presume to be blood, it can't tell us when the blood was deposited on an item, right?
Correct.
It can't tell us how long it's been on the item.
Correct.
It can't tell us how it got on the item.
Correct.
It can't tell us who deposited it on the item.
Correct.
And so it really doesn't tell us. It tells us something about a chemical reaction that you observe based on applying these reagents to the item. But it doesn't really tell us anything as far as a story of how that presumptive material got to be on the item in the first place, does it?
Correct.
And so it also doesn't really tell us anything about an individual. So when we compare this to something like DNA testing, we see that DNA testing is more of an attempt to determine whether we can infer whether an individual person may have been a contributor to the DNA on an item of evidence, correct?
I do not do the DNA analysis, so I cannot speak to how they report out on their results.
Okay, well, let me rephrase that. Obviously, I think that in terms of DNA analysis versus serology, serology is kind of broader in the sense that what we get as far as results are blood in general, but not a conclusion about a particular person's blood. Nonetheless, though, I think, and you mentioned some of this during your direct testimony, there's obviously environmental factors that can impact the ability to collect in the presence of biological material on an item, right?
Yes.
Like if an item got wet, that could interfere or play a part in one's ability to collect biological material from it, right?
Yes.
If an item got burnt, that could interfere with one's ability to collect biological material from it.
Yes.
If there was cleaning or attempted cleaning of an item prior to it arriving at your laboratory, that could impact your ability to obtain results.
Yes.
These factors obviously can weaken or alter the reactions that you would see when you perform those reagent tests, correct?
They can, yes.
Now, handling of evidence can also affect potential results that you would otherwise get. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
That multiple handlers can increase the risk of contamination on an item?
It's possible, yes, but if what I'm looking for is potential blood on a lot of this, those people would have to be bleeding to actually put their potential blood on the item.
Well, let's say that they don't have to be bleeding necessarily, because obviously biological materials can be transferred from item to item indirectly, right?
It's possible, yes.
Like through contact either with another person or another object, biological materials can be transferred to that other object, right?
Yes.
And that's a concept that exists in serology, and it exists in more broadly forensic testing like DNA, right?
It does, yes.
Like that there's this idea of what I believe you call transfer, right?
I didn't mention transfer, but yes, it exists.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say you did. What I meant was, in your profession, in your field, in forensics, there's an idea that is referred to as transfer.
Yes.
And transfer is about how biological material goes from one item to another item without the actual source of that biological material touching that second item, right?
That is one use of transfer, yes.
And I think that's what's referred to as secondary transfer?
I believe yes.
Okay, so like if I was to, let's say, shake hands with you and my skin cells get onto your hand and then you touch the Bible and my skin cells get onto the Bible, that's an example of secondary transfer, right?
Correct.
Now, I never touched the Bible, but because I touched your hand and your hand touched the Bible, my skin cells got onto the Bible.
Potentially yes.
So, the idea, one of the ideas I think that's supported then by this concept of transfer is that my biological material can get onto an item which I never touched because it got on there through means other than me actually touching it.
Possible, yes.
You're going through these items, seeing what you can find as presumptive results, and from there, there's a determination of what can or should move on for genetic testing. Is that accurate or no?
For DNA testing, yes.
Okay. Now, obviously, you followed all laboratory protocols in this case.
Yes.
And those protocols, you mentioned some of them, they include being gloved at all times when you're handling an item of evidence.
Yes.
They include a hairnet.
Yes.
They include a post-cleaning of the entire work surface and area
Yes.
with chemicals like bleach.
Yes.
And that's to kill any biological material or eliminate any biological material that was otherwise on those surfaces.
Yes.
And obviously, when you're working on something, you're working on only a single item of evidence at one time.
Yes.
There's never a situation where you would be handling, say, the jeans that you saw today and the T-shirt that you saw at the same time.
Well, that's all one item when it came into the laboratory as item number 6. So those were out at the same time in the laboratory.
Okay. So when they came to you, they were in a pile, right?
Yes.
And there was a pile of, it's referred to as a pile of charred items.
Articles.
And obviously you have no control over how things come to you and how you receive them, right?
Yes.
It would be fair to say that the way you received that pile of charred articles was far from what we would call laboratory conditions, right?
It was the first time I received articles like that, yes.
Okay. Where everything was all kind of mashed together, right?
I've received items in direct contact before, but not wet like that.
Okay. And so these items were wet, you mentioned. They were also burnt.
Yes, I received burnt items though before.
Okay. But I think what I'm trying to say is, I'm sure you have, but I'm trying to say that in this particular instance, these items were wet and they were also burnt, right?
Yes.
And they were also in actual physical contact with each other.
Yes.
And they had also been that way for some unknown amount of time before they got to you, right?
Yes.
And you don't know how they came to be in that arrangement, but it certainly wasn't the lab that did that, right?
Correct.
And that's kind of my point is, what I'm saying is you're not really in control of how the item comes to you, right?
Correct.
You can only do what you can as far as following protocols once you get the item, right?
Yes.
But if the item has been contaminated prior to its arrival at the lab, there's nothing that you can do about that, right?
Correct.
You can't unring the bell of transfer or contamination that's happened to an item prior to its arrival at the laboratory, right?
Right. I can only control what's happening in the laboratory.
And obviously these protocols within the lab about cleaning and about being gloved and about handling one item at a time, they're important because it's well known that biological material from one item, if we're not careful, could be transferred onto another item, right?
It's possible, yes.
And However, these things that you tested, however the substances got onto these various items, it wouldn't be possible for us to say whether it was a direct transfer from the person or whether it was a secondary transfer from one item in the pile to another item in the pile, right?
Correct.
And each of those hypotheses, direct transfer or secondary transfer from item to item, is equally plausible in a situation like this, right?
It's possible, yes.
Now, you tested, there were gloves that you had listed in, I believe it was S-411. There were 8 items received. And there was item number 8 was a piece of a black glove from a rear passenger seat.
Yes.
Okay. Now, that item you ended up forwarding for further genetic testing, correct?
A portion of the swabbing that I took from that item, yes.
Okay. And then, in item S-410, that's another properties receipt where we saw the swabs, what are referenced as the buccal swabs from Jennifer Caneiro, Jesse Caneiro, Sophia Caneiro, and Keith Caneiro?
Those were FDA cards. Their references were FDA cards.
Okay. And those FDA cards, were those the items that you said you had not seen before today?
Correct.
Okay. So you didn't have anything to do with processing those items?
Correct.
Okay. And then S-450, I think, was your report on the presumptive results that you received regarding the jeans, item 6-1, and the gloves, item 6-3.
I issued a report. I don't know what the state number was.
Okay. Okay, but you remember that during your direct testimony, I think you said that on sample 6-3, there was a presumptive result for blood?
6-3, I believe, were the gloves, and then they were subbed out as the 6-3-1, and then 6-3-1-1 was one of the gloves
Right.
that had the presumptive test for blood,
Right.
and then 6-3-1-2. I believe I have the numbers right. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. Maybe I can find it for you. Judge, I'm going to approach with S-450. Okay.
Thank you.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and then on the second page there, we do have a presumptive result for one of the gloves in 6-3?
Yes, that was the 6-3-1-1.
Okay. And that was blood?
It was presumptive positive for blood.
Okay. And that was, do you have that listed as the inside glove or the outside glove?
I don't have it listed as one or the other.
Well, can we infer from what you have the other glove listed as?
They're both just listed as gloves.
Okay. I see that you have the word inside in quotation marks.
Yes.
What does that word mean?
That was referring to the one glove, 6-3-1-1. The inside of that glove is what was swabbed versus the outside of that glove.
Okay. So that word is not indicative of that glove being inside the other glove?
Correct.
So which of those two gloves was inside the other?
Based on this, I'm not sure.
Okay. You said that you measured the blade of the knife,
Yes.
and that it was 1.5 inches?
I don't have that documentation in front of me.
Okay.
But I know that it was approximately 7 inches as one dimension. I don't know the rest of the dimensions off the top of my head.
Okay. Do you remember where along the blade you measured it?
It would be from the one point to the other point of the blade, the farthest points possible.
Okay, that's the length, right?
Yes.
Where would you have measured the width of the blade?
From the widest points of the blade.
All right, how did you determine that?
It's subjective, so it's just eyeballing what I believe is to be the widest points.
Okay. Did you take multiple measures of the width or one measure of the width?
One measurement.
And that was, I should clarify, that was item 9, correct? That was the night from the foyer,
I believe it was item number 9, yes.
and that was found in Colts Neck, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
I don't have the documentation in front of me.
Okay, that's okay. You wouldn't disagree, I don't think, that was item 9, right?
No, it's just a lot of numbers today.
I understand, I understand. Okay, thank you. I don't think I have anything further to
Okay. Redirect.
Nothing, Judge.
You may step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our morning break now.